Prologue 1. The Siege of 1,000 Suns. The city burns. Flames lick the sky atop charring wood. Swollen clouds blot out the stars. Rain pours down onto blood-soaked streets. Corpses pile in alleyways, spilling out onto main roads. Lightning cracks the sky. A bellowing thunder echoes. It does little to mask the screams of those who wish to be dead. Amid the chaos, a lone unicorn stands idle at the foot of the castle archway, the centerpiece of the great kingdom of man. Her mane, the colour of darkness, whips violently in the wind, a stark contrast from her glistening white-grey coat. Radiant blue light spews forth from her eyes. Magical energy crackles outward in thin, sporadic bursts. Fresh blood, not her own, drips down the base of her horn. Her armour, fitted metal plating of intricate design, fanciful blue-grey trim around its edges, does little to shield from the rain. She stares at the shadowed castle ahead. Further inward, a silhouette moves. Without hesitation, the eyes of the unicorn lock onto it. From her horn, a thick streak of lightning rips through the air. Crack! It strikes the figure. In shock, the figure stumbles forward. A grizzled, heavy-set man, an older human, long since soaked by the storm. His right arm hangs low from the place where his shoulder used to be, now tethered to his body by only a ragged clump of flesh. It swings unnaturally as he staggers forward. Blood spurts from beneath the charred crust of the wound. He stares out at the unicorn before him. His eyes dart across her features. His mind struggles to form even a single coherent thought. His eyes meet hers. In a strained voice, he utters a single word.
Help!
The man desperately searches the unicorn's face for any sign of remorse, of mercy, of pity. He finds none. With a steady gaze, the voice of the unicorn, powerful and commanding, bellows through the storm.
You are no help to me.
Another powerful bolt of lightning blasts forth from her horn. Crack! It strikes the man's face. His head bursts open. Clumps of hair and wet meat splatter onto the stone walkway behind him. His eyes, reduced to nothing more than globs of viscous pus, hang loose in the bottom half of his sockets. He falls backward, landing in bloody chunks of his own body. From behind, a masculine voice calls out,
Queen Marika!
The radiant blue energy fades from the unicorn. The crackling, too, fades away. She turns to the source of the voice. Another unicorn approaches, adorned by armour not dissimilar to hers, though of far less intricate design. His voice carries above the storm with ease.
We found one!
Queen Marika furrows her brow.
Show me.
A younger man, elven, breathes heavily, sitting against the stone wall of an alleyway. Two armoured unicorns stand on either side of him. Blood drips from their front hooves. The man, dressed in long, once elegant robes, now tattered and covered in dirt, refuses to look at the ground. Where his leg should be sits a pile of torn cloth, mashed together with thick, dark red clumps. They converge at the exposed, throbbing flesh of his lower thighs. Blood spills forth at a worrying speed. Crimson fills the cracks of the cobblestone below him. Another armoured unicorn steps into the alleyway. Queen Marika follows behind. At the sight of the cripple, she speaks.
Is this the one?
The unicorn who led her there replies,
Yes, Queen Marika.
Queen Marika approaches the man. The clack of her hooves sends a chill down his spine with every step. She stops in front of him, looking down at the bleeding mess below her. The man averts his gaze. Queen Marika's voice booms.
Look at me.
The man does not. Queen Marika repeats, now much louder, magically louder.
Look at me.
The volume sends a ringing through the man's ears. He winces briefly, but, with steady control over his breathing, pushes through the pain. He refuses to look at the unicorn. Queen Marika shoves her front hoof into the raw, spongy flesh of his thigh. He jolts upward. A howl of pain escapes his lips on instinct. Queen Marika jams the point of her hoof further into the wound. The sound of wet, crushing meat echoes in the alley. The man cries out once more. Tears stream down his face, washed away by the cold sting of the rain. The queen removes her hoof. Stringy clumps of meat and sinew peel off from its front, plopping down onto the mangled remains of a leg. The man, with a great reluctance, looks to the unicorn above him. The eyes of Queen Marika stare down into his. He can almost feel the intensity behind them, the forcefulness, the determination, the danger. The Queen's voice bellows out once again.
Tell me of the weapon that slays my people.
The man remains silent. She continues.
If you do not speak, I will tear your tongue from your body.
The man speaks.
It's too late. It's already been made. Used.
He takes a heavy, forceful breath.
You now live in a world where you can be beaten. There's nothing you can do to stop its creation.
The Queen remains unfazed.
I intend to butcher its creator.
At the mention of creator, the man's eyes flick to the opposite wall for a mere fraction of a second. Queen Marika notices. She leans in close. Her warm, wet breath sticks to his face, its unwelcome stench in his pores. The man feels the vibration of her voice in his chest.
What were you looking at?
A deep-seated fear flashes behind the man's eyes, something not present before. Queen Marika maintains eye contact. She flicks her head toward the spot on the wall that the man looked at.
Check that wall.
The man lurches forward in protest, met with immediate pain. The three unicorn knights step up to the opposite wall. Their eyes scan the stone, looking for something amiss. Before long, the centermost knight calls out,
Here!
The other knights follow his gaze. Their eyes fall to a loose brick in the wall, peeking out by the slightest amount. The centermost knight focuses intently. A gentle blue glow emanates from his horn. The brick in the wall, now surrounded by an identical glow, floats out. As it pulls free, the unmistakable cries of a newborn child ring out into the alleyway. The Queen looks surprised.
Oh, what's this?
The blue glow around the brick dissipates. It clatters to the ground. From within the hole in the stone wall, a newborn baby, wrapped in a burlap swaddle, emanating a blue glow of its own, floats out. Queen Marika grins wickedly.
Bring it to me.
The man lurches forward once more.
No!
The three unicorn knights, the centermost still glowing blue, approach their queen. The newborn floats over to her, coming to rest on the wet, blood-covered cobble in front of her. The glow dissipates. The Queen looks down at the writhing, helpless creature. Its cries, its screams of discomfort, torture the man's ears. Queen Marika, looks back to him.
The King of Man has lost 1,000 sons this day.
She leans in, even closer. Her humid breath smothers his skin.
Is he ready to lose another?
The man retorts.
Daughter!
He winces, the true pain of his injuries catching up to him.
That's my daughter.
Queen Marika locks eyes with him once again, a confidence behind her words.
Tell me of the weapon, or I crush your daughter's head.
The man quickly responds.
It's a sword.
The queen raises a threatening hoof. Not good enough. The baby continues to cry. The man hurriedly elaborates.
It's a sword. Something enchanted. That's all I know, I swear.
Queen Marika keeps her hoof steady above the child.
Who wields it?
The man wastes no time.
King Astani. He knew you would arrive. He wanted to slay you himself.
The queen looks disappointed.
Then he truly has damned his own people.
She places a gentle hoof on the chest of the newborn. She leans down, covering its wailing head with her jaws, and clamps shut. The vocal cries become an indistinct mess of wet gargles. In a single motion, Queen Marika twists her head and pulls back, tearing the crushed mess of tissue from the neck of the body. Blood spills out through her open lips. A thick pool gathers around the neck of the tiny, lifeless body below her. The man's shrieks overtake him. He sobs through each word, hatred brimming as he speaks.
Why? Why are you doing this? We've done nothing to you.
The queen spits the crushed mass of flesh from her mouth. It hits the center of the man's chest, leaving a heavy red stain. It peels off and plops into his lap. The sticky, oozing blood seeps through his clothes, mixing with his own. Queen Marika's lips shine with heavy red stains of her own. Her steaming breath carries the stench of iron. Tiny flecks of flesh, his daughter, stick to her teeth. She takes a single step back from the man. Ever so slightly, she lowers her head.
Give your daughter my regards.
She thrusts her head forward, skewering the man's eye on the base of her horn. The flames of the kingdom glow through stained glass. The ambient cries of the dying echo beyond. Rain pummels wood and stonework above. Intermittent booms of thunder rattle the very walls. Positioned at the rear of the chamber, his back to the trio of decadent thrones behind him, stands a bulky, imposing older man. A human with flowing grey hair, long since matted from the storm. He holds tight to a massive greatsword in his hands, its blade nearly 6 feet in length. Donned in lavish robes, a visible suit of leather beneath, dyed purple. He scowls, eyes trained on the grand pair of carved wood doors before him. A faint blue glow emanates from their handles. The doors begin to open. A wooden blockade prevents them from opening further. The old man's grip tightens around his great sword. Its leather feels warm in his grasp. He steels his resolve. The blue glow fades from the door handles. They gently close. From beyond them, a deep, low-toned sound pulses rhythmically. An explosive sound rips through the air. Crack! Pow! A massive burst of lightning tears the doors from their hinges. They fall to the ground, wood now dark and charred. Queen Marika stands at the now open doorway. Crackling blue energy fades from her eyes. Dozens of armoured unicorn knights, donned in heavy combat plating, many covered in splashes of blood, stand behind her. Beyond them, the rain continues its downpour. The fires of burning buildings flicker against the darkness. Queen Marika locks eyes with the old man.
It's a pleasure to finally meet you, Allens.
The voice of King Alan's Astani bellows, nearly matching the Queen's intensity.
There is no pleasure for you here.
Queen Marika grins, baring her stained red teeth.
Oh, I assure you there is.
She steps forward. The great sword in the king's hands hums audibly. Runes, seemingly forged into the metal itself, glow white with a tense magical power. The queen stops.
Is this the weapon meant to slaughter my people?
The king holds his ground.
It has already slaughtered your people, and by my hand it will again.
The queen responds.
I am eager to see you try.
The king raises his voice.
You will pay for desecrating the flesh of our children.
The queen holds her gaze.
The flesh of your children catches in my teeth.
The king scowls, eyes burning with rage.
Then let it rot there.
Queen Marika stomps her front hoof on the ground. On cue, the battalion of unicorn knights rushes forth, charging into the chamber. King Astani tears away his robes, revealing the series of unicorn horns fastened to his belt. One by one, each horn charges with a piercing white light, reminiscent of the runes in his sword. The unicorn knights draw closer. The glow of each horn strengthens. The horns themselves can hardly be seen beneath the brightness of their light. The thunderous sound of hooves fills the room. With a heavy swing, King Astani slashes the air in front of him. A curve of pure white light jettisons out from his blade. Boom! It impacts the front line directly. It splits their armor and carves through their flesh. The front line falls. The meat of their twitching bodies fathers an ocean of blood where they lie. The knights that remain charge on. King Astani slashes the air once again. Boom! Another curve of brilliant white cuts deep into the knights. Blood sprays out from their wounds, splashing onto the head of the king. He breathes heavily. The knights that remain charge on. Their hooves splash through the gathering blood. King Astani slashes once more, an unintended angle to his swing. Boom! Its curve of light flies out, hitting only several of its targets. Two knights, missed entirely, flank the king. He brings his sword down onto the head of the knight in front of him. The heavy blade sinks with a meaty crack. Both eyes rupture from the weight of the impact, bursting outward. The knight behind King Astani jams her horn forward, piercing his back. She lifts the king into the air. He holds tight to his sword, still embedded in the head of the knight. The corpse, too, lifts higher. The knights that remain charge on. The king pushes his foot against the head of the dead knight. The sword pulls from its skull. The body falls to the ground. The king feels the pierce of the horn in his back. He holds tight to his sword with a single hand. With his other, he firmly grasps a glowing horn on his belt. He tears it free. Reaching behind, he stabs the horn into the eye of the knight. She recoils. King Astani drops to the ground. The horn glows bright within the knight's eye socket. She backs away, violently shaking her head in an attempt to dislodge it. Lying prone, King Astani watches the army of knights gallop toward him. He forces himself to a knee. With a heavy, one-handed swing, he cuts through the air once again. Boom! Its curve of light flies out, carving deep through the unicorns closest. More knights are upon him regardless. The king swings again with great effort. Vroom! The curve of light barely impacts its targets. The king's breathing turns heavily laboured. Queen Marika scowls. The tip of her horn sizzles with thin cracks of electricity. The pupils of her eyes fade. A vibrant blue glow overtakes them. The storm beyond grows even louder. King Astani stands, visibly slowing. He swings at the knights again, and again, and again. Vroom, vroom, vroom. With every movement, they surround him further. The king belts out a war cry. He thrusts his blade through the chin of the knight closest. It skewers the skull, embedding in bone. He throws the body over his head with near magical strength. It collides with a cluster of knights, sending them tumbling into the ocean of blood that surrounds them. A solitary beam of blinding blue electricity explodes from the chamber's entrance. It rips through the bodies of those in front of the king. Broken metal and bloody scraps scatter. The beam engulfs the king. The horns on his belt pulse in tandem, deflecting the beam with a wall of translucent white light. Queen Marika, the massive beam of electricity stemming from her horn, takes a single step forward. Her voice, magically enhanced, dwarfs the sound of the crackling beam. Enough! King Astani steadies himself. The force of the beam pushes him back. His feet begin to slide through the layer of blood on the floor. The queen takes another step forward. The beam from her horn pulses, crackles. Her eyes shine bright with intensity.
You will die.
The king glares at her through the wall of light in front of him.
You will fall.
King Astani, pushing back against the force of the beam, takes a heavy step forward. The army of unicorn knights steps aside, giving space to the massive beam of lightning that carves through the centre of the chamber. They set their backs to the walls, surrounding the king at a distance. The king takes another step forward, then another, and another. One by one, the horns of the unicorn knights crackle with a similar blue electricity. Then, one by one, a beam of lightning blasts out from each. The smaller beams of electricity surround the king, hitting him from nearly every angle. The white glow of the magic shield forms a full barrier around him. The king takes another step forward.
You do not know torment.
Then another.
You do not know suffering,
And another.
but I will rape it into you.
Queen Marika walks forward, a slow and steady pace. The beam from her horn grows wider, its crackles louder, its pulses more erratic. The knights around the room keep their focus on the king. Their own beams, too, press against him. The king takes another step, reaching the centre of the room. Queen Marika, the massive beam of energy still blasting from her horn, stops her approach. She locks eyes with the king, mere meters now between them. The king lifts his sword. With strained arms, he slashes the air. Whoom! Its curve of white light collides with the beam, absorbed almost in its entirety. The slivers of energy that manage to escape slice into Queen Marika's skin, cutting her body. She begins to bleed. She looks back. She sees the blood seep out from her wounds, shallow as they may be. Thin trails of red stain her coat. She looks back to the king, furious. She takes another step forward. The beam from her horn widens further, nearly filling a third of the chamber. Behind the king, the arrangement of royal thrones shatters from its intensity. Bricks in the wall chip and crack. Chunks of large stone break away from the sheer force of Queen Marika's beam. The king's feet slide in the blood below him, now unable to hold his ground. Left with few options, he swings his blade once again. Vroom! As before, its curve of light disintegrates into the beam, only its edges finding purchase on the queen. The knights against the chamber wall step closer. Queen Marika pushes forward. King Astani slides through the blood, now fighting to stay upright. The beam continues, pushing him back. He swings. Vroom! Its edges strike the queen, cutting her skin. The glowing eyes of the queen fill with rage. Driven by calculating fury, she takes note of his shaking hands, the physical strain on his muscles, the blood pouring out from the wound in his back, the splotches of red in his hair, the countless beads of sweat cascading down his body, the rhythmic pulsing of the horns strapped to his belt, the single horn missing from his left side, the weaker, dimmer pulses from each horn on either side of the gap, the strange array of perfectly vertical singe marks along the side of his leather armour, barely the width of a fingernail, the way he actively turns that side of his body away from the smaller beams. She locks eyes with the king once more. Her lip curls into a terrifying grin. The beam from her horn withers to nothingness. The piercing blue glow fades from her eyes. With confusion, the knights surrounding the king follow suit, their own smaller beams dissipating. Hands still clenching his sword, King Astani breathes heavily. The sweat from his body mixes with blood, leaving thin streaks all over him. He says nothing. He simply stares ahead at the queen, the shield of bright light still surrounding him. Queen Marika's grin stirs a nightmare.
You will rape nothing.
In a single movement, she rushes to the side of the king, jamming the tip of her horn against the gap of his magic shield. Its very point just barely pressing beyond the translucent white energy. Her eyes flash a deep orange glow. Embers spring out from her sockets. A maelstrom of fire explodes from the tip of her horn. It floods the inside of the magic shield, the barrier wholly confining it. An ear-piercing shriek emanates from the fire itself as it scorches the very air around it. The silhouette of King Astani crumbles beneath the weight of his own incinerating flesh. And, as Queen Marika watches, she can almost swear the hand of the king bears a prominent middle finger on the way down. The orange glow of Queen Marika's eyes disappears. The flames subside. The magic shield vanishes. Where the great king of man once stood, now lies a mass of charred flesh and bone. Next to it lies the enchanted great sword, its runes already fading. Surrounding the ash, in pristine condition, burned patches of leather still clinging to the backs of them, sits a circle of 11 unicorn horns. Queen Marika straightens her posture.
General.
From the wall of the chamber, a unicorn knight approaches, his coat a blue roan coloration. Scars busy his face from battles long ago. His armour, unlike that of the others, is far more similar to the Queen's.
Yes, Queen Marika.
The Queen turns to him.
Gather the corpses. Prepare for us to return to the city at once.
She gestures to the pile of ash with her hoof.
Ensure that each of these horns is accounted for. If so much as one goes missing before we reach the city, I will personally skin you alive.
The general nods.
Yes, my queen. But what of the wounded? The dying?
He struggles to find the proper words.
Our blood has been spilled before, but never like this. I am uncertain of the proper procedure here.
The Queen does not hesitate.
Allow them their valiant deaths. They have served me well. They deserve such.
The General continues.
And what of those that may survive?
Queen Marika too continues.
Even if we were to heal them, they would never return to their prime. They would be far too weak to serve any purpose.
After a moment, the General replies.
Then what would you have me do?
Queen Marika responds.
Kill them yourself.
The General nods. Queen Marika walks off. The General turns to his knights.
All right, you heard the Queen. Prepare the dead for return to the city. Put down any wounded you find. And make sure each of these artifacts is guarded closely. We will perform a sweep of the kingdom upon exit to wipe out any remaining civilians.
The knights stand idle, many still processing the carnage before them. The General raises his voice.
What are you waiting for? Get to it!
On command, the knights calmly disperse. Horns glow faint blue. Corpses are levitated and organised. Every few moments, a pained gargle emanates from one of the mortally wounded before they, too, are levitated and stacked with the rest of the corpses. The General steps a few paces, approaching a dead knight nearby. His own horn glows a bright blue, preparing to lift the body. The muzzle, smashed and torn to pieces, leaves a wet, gaping hole at the front of the face. Thick grafts of skin are torn free from the muscle throughout its neck and shoulders. Eerily, its entire lower jaw remains intact, minus a handful of missing teeth. Poor soul. The corpse forces a wet cough. The glow fades from the General's horn in surprise. He takes a step back instinctively. The bloodshot eye of the knight looks up to him, speech barely discernible. He utters a single word.
General.
A loud crash. The sound of shattered glass rings out from within the castle. The General snaps to attention. The Unicorn Knights do the same. Queen Marika raises an eyebrow. The sound of footsteps echoes from the hall adjacent, their sound rapidly approaching. Queen Marika readies herself for another attack. Her knights and General do the same. From the hallway, a young boy emerges, dressed in a lavish set of travel clothes. He appears no older than 10. His ears, tips sharply pointed, dig into his messy blonde hair. He freezes in place at the sight of the unicorns, unable to comprehend so much carnage. He stands in silent stillness, terrified even to breathe. The gaze of every unicorn in the room rests solely upon him. A dark moisture spreads at the front of his pants. Queen Marika steps forward, approaching.
Well, well, well. Who might you be?
The boy says nothing. The Queen lowers her head toward him.
What's your name?
The boy begins to quiver. She leans closer.
Don't worry. You'll tell me your name. In fact, I think you're going to tell me a whole bunch of things.
Wordless tears gather at the corners of his eyes. She turns back, addressing the room.
I'll deal with this.
She gestures to 2 knights nearby.
You two, with me.
They nod, then approach. She addresses the room once again.
The rest of you, get back to work. We leave as soon as this business is dealt with.
The commotion of the unicorns resumes. The General turns back to the broken knight before him, still holding on to some small, confused fraction of consciousness. Again, the bloodshot eye of the knight looks up at the General, and again, through globs of muddled flesh, he utters a single word.
General.
The general stares at the wounded knight, not the slightest tinge of empathy. The general raises a single hoof. It, along with his horn, glows green.
Queen Marika thanks you for your service.
The general stomps on the head of the knight with magical strength, scattering the pulp of his face across an indistinguishable ocean of blood.